Hello. I think we're live. Can you confirm in the chat, please, if you can hear me well? It is a bit weird to not having anyone to answer me. Patrick, hey, don't know if you're, yeah, okay. Milan said that you're live, so I think we can start. Put this presentation here. Okay, so today we're gonna talk about why should I use Meteor in 2021, and these are the topics that I will talk about it today. So first, I talk a little bit about my journey with Meteor. Then I will talk about why should I use Meteor, or why should you use MeteorJS? What is Meteor? Because this is a talk mostly for beginners, and I will explain a little bit about what is Meteor, and then I will answer the question if is Meteor still evolving, how to start with Meteor, and then talk a little bit about the Meteor community. We have the chat here, so just updating my Meteor timeline. This release, I'm just reading Jan comment on the chat. So feel free to ask anything on the chat. I will try to follow a little bit. I confess that I am still a bit lost, but here we go. So who am I? My name is Frederico Maia. You can call me Fred because it's just easier. I am Brazilian, and today I live as a digital nomad. I moved to Ireland 4 years ago, and then in the last year, I moved to Portugal, where I started being a digital nomad. So I lived in many cities in Portugal. Right now, I am in Brazil, visiting my family, and I will be back to Europe next year, probably. I am a software developer since 2008. So, and I'm also today, I am a tech lead and full stack dev at Quavi, that is a Brazilian company. And I'm working for Affable, an American company, and is the company that is hosting this event today. So if you guys don't know already, this platform that you are watching this event is made with Meteor. So that is really nice. We work on this platform every day, and I'm changing the wrong screens here. And it is a bit weird to be in the other side presenting something, but let's see how it will go. One thing that I want to try is to you guys to use the polls that we have right here. I don't know if you saw that before, but there is a pulse tab. And I wanted you to guess when I use Meteor for the first time. So there's a poll here, and you can click on vote and use this feature and try to guess, just to be more interactive. If you can send me something on the chat as well, just to confirm if it's everything okay. And okay, so let's start with my journey with Meteor. So I was just a Java developer in Brazil, trying to get a new job when I first met Meteor. And everything started when I was doing an interview for a new company. And then during the interview, I met my manager, and he told me a lot about Meteor. And in that company, they had Java projects, but also Meteor projects. And I had to do a technical test, and I could choose any technology that I wanted to develop that test. But then I was more comfortable with Java, and I decided to use Java for that test, and everything went well. But then in my final interview, my manager told me a little bit more about Meteor. And I confess that when I opened for the first time the Meteor website and read those things, I was like, well, I don't know if I got it. Like at that time I was studying AngularJS, and I just took a look at the website, and I don't know, something, but it was really different at that time. I think today is much better, but at the time I didn't get why it was so cool. But then I decided to follow the tutorials that we have in the Meteor website, and then I just fell in love with Meteor. I think after 10 days, I think I was making a presentation in a conference in Brazil, talking about Meteor because it was so cool to develop a web app with Meteor. And I remember that even the test that I made for that interview, I made it later using Meteor because I was so excited to use Meteor. So that was the first time that I used Meteor. My manager at that time was Felipe Neblo. I think most of you know him, and I will put my screen back here. So if you don't know, I will tell you why Felipe Neblo is an important guy for Meteor nowadays. So yeah, in that company, I started working with Meteor. We had those Java projects and also Meteor projects, but I was mainly taking the tasks for the Meteor projects. And then, sorry, I did something really wrong here. Let me go back. I click on the end button. Okay. Yeah. All right. So at that time, I met Meteor, I fell in love. And then I was moving to Ireland, like I mentioned before, that I lived there. And I have a cousin that is also a developer. And he asked me if I wanted to do a freelance job. And then he explained it to me what was the job about. And mainly his company, they were outsourcing the development of a really big project. There was like an admin website and a mobile app, and they were outsourcing that project. And I think 1 year has passed, and they were paying a company, and they were not good. They were not doing a good job. And then he proposed to his boss to make this project like a side project and invited me to develop it with him. So it was like really challenging because his boss told us that we had 1 week to show something. So because like he had to trust us that we could really deliver something. And then he gave us 1 week to develop. And then, of course, we chose Meteor, and my cousin, he didn't know anything about Meteor, so I was teaching him while we were developing. And I remember that in 1 week, we could build a few screens, we could run the app using Cordova in mobile. So we made a really good impression for his boss, and then we got the contract and we developed this project for him. They decided to change the strategy a little bit because in 1 year, that company was trying to develop the system and they couldn't deliver anything. So they decided to launch an MVP, and then we developed MVP in 2 or 3 months. And that was really good because I was still living in Brazil and I needed to make money. And it was basically the first time that I received in euros, and that helped me a lot to travel to Ireland and to move to Ireland at that time. And we could do this only because of Meteor, because I'm sure that if we used Java or anything else, we could not deliver at the time. I think, I don't know, maybe 1 week we would spend just setting up the project, deciding the architecture. So Meteor was really helpful for us at that time. And then I moved to Ireland, and just to, oh my God, I'm doing that again. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. So that led us to this question. So why should I use Meteor? And for me, this is the simplest answer that I can give. Meteor is modern, flexible, productive, and reliable. So we could develop that in a really short amount of time. And we could also trust Meteor because Sometimes you see something that it seems that is productive, but you cannot really trust. You don't know like how that will behave in production. And I knew because of my past experiences that we will be fine with Meteor, and we did. So I think this is the simplest way to explain this. And just to give the answer of that question, it was 6 years ago when I did that, when I first met Meteor for the first time. And I will try to check the answers here. I am really lost. Twitter is mentioning about to get a new job. I will just check if you guys voted here. I will give the right answer, and then I can see it. Okay, so, okay, you're voting now, and this is real time, this is Meteor. So most of you got the right answer. Let's go. Let's go back to the presentation. Just a second. Show from the slide. Okay, so that was the answer. Yeah, so this is it. Meteor is modern, flexible, productive, and reliable. And that was back in 2017. So after that, so there is this, but the JavaScript ecosystem is huge, and it was becoming huge. So I was like impressed by all those frameworks that were coming. And I confess to you guys that at a certain point, I tried to find something better. So there are so many frameworks, and I was really liking to develop using JavaScript. And that's me looking at the sky and trying to find something shinier than Meteor to develop it. So it's kind of romantic, right? But no, this is actually the best picture that can represent that moment. And I just saw this picture on Slack, on Meteor Slack, and it was really funny because this is actually me. I am this kind of guy that every time that I see something new, I want to test it, I want to try it. And I think, I don't know if I am alone on this. I will actually ask you if you can tell me on the chat if you are like me, or if you are more conservative, let's say. But if I see a new framework, I want to test it. And then I was like those guys trying to find something new, and I tested many new frameworks. And there are a lot of interesting frameworks, but the most interesting ones, they're still pretty new. They are in beta. And to be honest, after trying to find, after creating a few projects with other frameworks, I could not find anything better than Meteor, actually. And there was this phase of when things were a bit uncertain for Meteor with the Apollo transition and everything. So there was also this. But then I couldn't find anything better than Meteor, and I get back to Meteor, and I'm really happy using Meteor daily today, and also for my side projects. And I just want to check if you told me, okay, you are not talking to me on the chat. Okay, yeah, was telling that I was like that, but I have become conservative over the time. I became more conservative as the new stuff might have maybe one thing that is good, but then the whole or other features fall short. Yeah, so I was like that as well. And please tell me if you are like me or if you are more conservative. Okay, but this talk is for beginners, and maybe you are here just to get to know what is Meteor. And I just have another question for you to answer on the post. That is the second one. So if you scroll down a little bit, there is this other question. When Meteor was released. So please try to guess, or maybe you know, and you just have to try to remember. Go back. Okay. So there is this description from the docs, docs.meteor.com. I will read it, and then you can try to break it down and understand a little bit more. So Meteor is a full stack JavaScript framework. Meteor is a full stack JavaScript platform for developing modern web and mobile applications. Meteor includes a key set of technologies for building connected client reactive applications, a build tool, and a curated set of packages from the Node.js and general JavaScript community. This is a quite large description, and you have many key words here. I will just take a few of them and break it down so then you can understand a little bit better. So if you remember, when I first met Meteor, I was studying AngularJS. And when I saw the webpage, the homepage of Meteor, I didn't get it. I was like, okay, why should I use Meteor instead of AngularJS? So, but after trying, I realized that I didn't have to switch AngularJS for Meteor. I could use both of them together. So Meteor is a full stack framework, and that means that you have libraries and things to help you building both sides, backend and front end. And you can integrate Meteor with the popular frameworks that you have nowadays. At that time, when Meteor launched, Meteor had Blaze as the default front-end framework. But today we still have Blaze and many companies using, but we have React. We can use Meteor with Vue.js, with Angular, and with Svelte. So Meteor will help us on the client side, basically integrating with those frameworks and giving us abilities for real-time applications that I will try to show still today that are really cool. So just remember that Meteor is for front-end and back-end. In the back-end, we have MongoDB, we have the data layer of Meteor that it's kind of the magic of Meteor. So you don't need to replace React or anything else by Meteor. Mostly you can use nowadays all the JavaScript tools and frameworks with Meteor. So it is a Node.js and JavaScript framework. I think we all know that. Meteor is not only a framework, it is a platform, and there is a build tool integrated. We have Galaxy to deploy our apps. So it's not only code, but we also have all this key set of technologies and packages that make Meteor a platform. We can also build web and mobile applications and connected client reactive applications. So we have a few other characteristics that one of them is a built-in authentication. And I will ask you again, and I'm kind of feeling alone here because you are not answering me on the chat. So I will try for the last time. Have you built an authentication system in your life? Like for how many times, or you never did it? Please tell me on the chat, because I find it really boring to have to create an authentication system every time that I have to develop something. So please help me there. Okay, now I can see. Oh my God, passport. So it is good, it's not bad, but every time, really? Okay, so I have a few answers that I think are more happy now. And I will try to get back to the presentation to play from current slide. Yeah, so we also have TypeScript support. So I will ask again, now that I see that you are answering me. Who likes TypeScript? I like TypeScript. Yeah, sometimes I don't, but I think I like it. So you can use TypeScript with Meteor. That's really cool. We have hot module replacement that is also really cool. This improves a lot our developer experience, because basically when you are developing your app, it will update just the code that you changed, and it's really faster. So it is really nice. It is a really nice developer experience. Meteor embraces JavaScript ecosystem. So like I mentioned before, you can integrate Meteor with React, Svelte, Angular, Vue, whatever you want. And also in the backend, we can integrate with Apollo. We can integrate with, I don't know, if you want to build a REST API, you can use Meteor for that. So in the first version of Meteor, it wasn't like that. So Meteor tried to bring everything you need to develop your application, but then it started embracing the ecosystem and integrating with everything. So this is also really nice. You can integrate Meteor with React Native apps or Cordova. If you have any question about Cordova, you can ask Rena, that is here on this chat. And you have testing utilities, of course, to create unity tests, integration tests, end-to-end tests. If you want to use Jest, if you want to use Cypress, you can use with Meteor without any problem. And some people say that is zero DevOps when you are using Galaxy, or others say that is minimal work. I'm not really sure. For me, for the apps that I developed. So if you don't know, Galaxy is a cloud platform from Meteor that you can deploy your applications really, really easily. So you can just run a command and deploy it. And we also have free accounts that you can test it. So it is really cool. And for me, for my side projects, it was like zero DevOps. But of course, depending on the size of the project, you might need a few DevOps guys to help you scaling your apps. But if you are just starting or creating a small application, I would say that you will have basically zero DevOps. And that's really cool, because I think this is the part that I hate the most when I'm developing new apps. If I have to create infrastructure, even using AWS and all this stuff, it's still a lot of work. It's still a lot of work for a developer. So I really love this part of Meteor. And you can deploy a Meteor app in any other Node.js environment. So if you don't want to use Galaxy, you don't need to, but I really recommend. Okay, so the answer of Meteor about when was released. Let's check if you voted. It was this one. Okay, so most of you got the right answer. That's nice. And you can find this information in the Meteor website. I am just looking here, and he's saying that he's playing with TypeScript, slowly migrating components towards it, but still have a lot to learn about it. Yeah. There's a learning curve for TypeScript for sure, but I like it. Okay, so let's continue. About this question, is Meteor still evolving? I just took a few numbers because I don't know. Maybe you can tell me on the chat if you are watching this presentation. Are you new to Meteor, or are you a Meteor developer? Have you done something with Meteor before? Please tell me, because maybe if you are involved with Meteor, you know, of course, that it is evolving. But if not, maybe you don't know. So I just took a few numbers here that for me are important. So only in 2021, Meteor came from v1.12 to v2.5. Actually, 2.5 is not out yet, but if you go to the changelogs page in the Meteor website, you can see that it's almost there. So I'm just considering that it is out. And this is just in 2021. There were, I think, I'm not sure if it's 20 or more than 20 releases of Meteor only in 2021. So this is really proof that it is evolving. So no questions about that. And just another number that I got is that in 2021, 155 issues were closed on GitHub. So this is also something that I usually look when I am trying a framework. So it is okay if they have issues, but are they working on them? Are they closing them? So we can see that this is happening with Meteor. And also another thing that is interesting for me is the last commit. So, okay, I don't know if this project is, people are really working on it or not. So I like to see the last commit date. And for Meteor, it was 2 days ago if someone didn't commit anything today. So this is also nice. Okay, how to start with Meteor? And I will just have a quick look to the chat to see if there's something there. And then we'll drink some water, just a second. So Jan is saying that he's a node person in Meteor. Last comment was 2 days ago because the team got busy with Meteor hackathon and impact. Yeah, that makes sense. If not, maybe we would have a commit today. So, and you didn't answer my question. Were you new to Meteor or not? Or maybe I'm just here talking alone. That is sad, but let's continue. So yeah, started in 2015. Meteor is not. Okay, thank you guys. You are answering me. Let's go back. How to start with Meteor? So basically, you need to install. This is the first thing to do. And now that we have the Meteor installer back in NPM, you can just run this command in any platform, Windows, macOS, or Linux, and you will start Meteor very easily. And to create a starter project, Meteor has what they call skeletons. So we have skeletons for React, Svelte, Vue, Apollo, Typescript, and I think a few others, and Blaze, of course. So if you want to create a started project with React, you just don't pass any parameter, just Meteor create, and then the name of the project. I will tell you to follow the tutorials because I think they are really the first place to start. And I love to see examples. So this is one of the contributions that I made to Meteor a few months back. I created 2 examples of Meteor using Shaker UI. It is a really nice template library, UI library. And we will have a look at it in a second. Read the Meteor guide. So after following the tutorial, you can go a bit more deeper and read the Meteor guide. And this is something new. So I think that if you try to search for Meteor content all over the internet, you won't find many up-to-date content. But now with Meteor University that is coming, and you can know more about Meteor University. Still today, we will have a presentation, I think 3 hours after mine, and we will be able to know more about Meteor University. But basically, we are creating trainings, we are creating really great lessons for you to learn Meteor. So stay tuned for Meteor University. And I will just pick one of the examples that I just mentioned, just to show a little bit of code. I wanted to code, but I wouldn't have enough time. So I will just access GitHub, Meteor example. And you can see here that you have a few of them. A few of them are here on this repository, and others you can see the links here. And there is this one called Simple Tasks. I will open it because I'm not sure. Yeah, it is started, the container. And this is the repository. So if you want to see simple, still simple demo, Meteor demo, but beautiful, a beautiful one. I would say that you can see this on simple tests, and you can have a look right here. Let me sign out. So this is using I think I have here, yeah. Okay, I was stuck, but I'm back. So I'm using Meteor, Chakra UI, React, Formic, and MongoDB. So this is simple, but it is a good start if you wanna have a look. We have a few features on this app, that is sign in, sign up. You can list the tasks by logged user, add a task, remove, mark a task as done, and filter tasks by status. There's still a video demo here, but we will see running right here. So you can create an account, or you can just log in with this one. I will just, if you click here, create a new account, you could just change password and the username and create one for yourself. But I will just join with my user, signing. This is using Chapter UI and a few animations. So if you don't know React, and sometimes we mention like real-time applications or reactive applications, and in Meteor, mostly when we mention that, you are talking about this. If you open now simple tasks, you will be able to see the same screen that I can see. And I would ask if any of you can open this URL, simpletest.meteorapp.com, and just add a new task or change anything here, really remove a task or mark as done. If any of you can do that for me, I will keep my screen here and wait for you. Or maybe, where is my phone? Okay. I will also try with my phone. Then you can see my screen. Okay, I will mark work as done. You can see it is done. I will just increase the font a little bit. We have these counters here. So it is showing you have 5 tasks and 0 pending. If I uncheck work, oh, someone is also changing. So you can see that the counter is changing, and I'm not refreshing the page. I'm not doing anything here. I'm changing just over my phone, and you can see the changes in real time. So this is really cool, and it is really easy to implement that with Meteor. Okay, so we have a few new tasks now. Thanks, you are very helpful. All right, so I will show you a little bit of this code. I think, let me check the time. Okay, we still have time. So let me open here this project, simple tasks. And please let me know if you can see the code, if you can read it or not. Maybe it is too small. Let me increase already. I have done that before, but it seems that now it's not that big. Appearance and font for the editors. So please tell me on the chat if you can see, if you can read actually. See tabs here. Where is it? Where are you guys? It's the other tab. Okay. It's okay. Yes, it's good. Okay, thank you. I'm lost my connection with my. It's stuck in. Yeah, I am back. Okay. So let me close all the tabs first. This is a simple project, but we can start seeing how a Meteor project can be built. So I have three main folders here: a client folder, imports, and server. So just reading the name, we can think that, okay, client is the code that we run on the client, so on the front end. Server is the code that we run on the server. And then we have a special folder called imports that the code will be anywhere that you import. So if you just put the code here, if you create JavaScript files here and you don't import this file anywhere, it won't run. But if you import on the client, it will be there on the client. If you import on the server, it will be there on the server. So, okay, this is the first part. We have a package.json, and I like to start from this place. We have this Meteor property over here, main module, and then we have client and server. And basically, this is from where Meteor will start. So if we find server, the server folder, the main.js file, let's see here. So this will be the first file that will be running over this on the server side. And you can see here that I just hard-coded my username and password for that tasks web app. And the first thing that it will do, if you just read the code, you can understand it. So I will just try to find a user by username, and by passing this username. If I don't find it, then I create a user with this username and password. So this will be done once the application is running on the server side. Just a second. I will just change the chat to see if everything okay. Okay, so that's the server side. And if you go back to the package.json, we can see that we have a client property with the client folder and the main.js file. You can change this name if you want. If you want to name it index or anything else, it's up to you. So let's see the client main.js file. So again, we have a Meteor startup function, and this is basically rendering a React application. We can see that I render this app, and this color mode script is just a component from Chakra UI. I will just go to the app, and let me go back to the sample because we don't have much time. So I will focus on how, so because like on the front end, we are using React and Chakra UI. So where Meteor will join on this. So let's see how when I type something here, like Fred task 2, and I click on add task. So how this data is being sent how this data is sent to the server. So how Meteor does that. So I will go directly to this tasks component that it shows when we are logged in. And this is just React, basically. We have a few Meteor things here, but I will get there. And then you have this component called task form. So I will open this because what I want to show you is when I fill something here and press add task, what is happening. So this is the form, and we have on submit property and this method from Formic. I don't know if you know Formic, but it is a really nice library to work with forms in React. I have form control that I'm showing the errors if we have any error for the description. We have the input. Once the value changes, we will call this handle change. Oh, this is actually from Formic. So it will fill the description. So the name defines which is the property that it will fill. And then we have just a submit button that when I click on it, it will call the handle submit. Okay, this is also from Farmik that will call on submit. This is somewhere here. Yeah. Okay. So we have this use Farmik. It is a React hook, and I am passing a few parameters here, a few things that initial values. It will just initialize description with an empty field. Initial status null. This is for the if I have an error or not. I have a validation schema. So if you check here, I'm using Yup. That is a library for validating stuff. This will validate only in the front end. And I'm basically defining that description is required. And for me, it will run this validation when I submit. And in the end, if everything is okay, it will call on submit. And on submit is here. And so just to make it clear, all of this is just for me, React, JavaScript. So there was no Meteor on this file yet. But then when we submit, I take the value from the description and I call this Meteor method. So this is how I will save this information. So we have this Meteor call. I pass the name of the method, the description, and this is a callback that we can have a look later. So let's see, okay, so what is this? What is this Meteor method? Because if you're working with a REST API, you would have to call to send a post request somewhere. But in Meteor, we have RPC, remote procedure calls, and we basically call this method. So I will just try to find this. I'm using WebStorm, and we can see that I have this file called tasks methods. And inside this file, I am defining this method. So this is the name of the method, and I am calling this method on the front end. You can see that I am receiving a description. I am basically validating if the description is a string. So we should never trust the content coming from the client side. And I'm checking if the user is logged in. Meteor has a few utility functions that you can use in the server side. So one of them is you can use this.user ID, and if you are logged in, you will have a user ID over here. And then I'm calling tasks collection.insert, passing the description that I received, created date, and the user ID. So this is a Mongo collection. We can also have a look at this, because we know that Mongo is schemaless, but it is really good to define a schema on your application. And a package that is heavily used on Meteor is simple schema. So I'm also using a package from Quavi that is really easy to create collections with it. And I'm basically defining the name of the task, and the description should be a string. I have a done attribute that should be a Boolean, default is false, created at is a date, user ID is a string. So I'm basically defining the schema of the collection that I want to save in my database. And basically that's it. So if we go back and see, I am taking the description from the form. I am calling this Meteor method, and this Meteor method basically validates on the backend the description, if the user is logged in or not, and save it. So really straightforward. And okay, you have a few new tasks. And basically, okay, you have to see now the callback from the form. So if you go back to task form, right here on submit. We call the method, and then if an error happens, we will have a value here, and then I am trying to get the reason why we had an error. I am setting the status, passing this error message so I can show to the user. If I don't have any error, I am basically resetting the form and setting this submitting to false. This is basically to show that loading over the submit button. And this is it. Like, it is really easy to save something, to send something from the client to the backend. Meteor makes this task really easy. And we can also see like how we do this reactive application. So what I am doing, that if I change using my phone, I can see the changes here without refreshing my page. So this is from Meteor, and it is really easy as well. So the second thing that you can have just a quick look is how I am listing those tasks and how I am showing these counters. So let's have a quick look here over the tasks component. I have is loading, spinner, and this is all Chapter UI. I am defining the styles. You can see that I have here the counters. You have, then there's a variable here. You have a number of tasks and a pending count for the pending tasks. And right here, yeah, we have the tasks array that I am mapping to this task component. This is also just React. I have this task component, I'm receiving a few properties here. And I'm just assuming that you know React, because my goal is to talk a little bit about Meteor and not React. So if we go back, what we need to see is just how we are fetching these tasks from the backend and how we are fetching these counters. So I will just click over here to navigate. And this is the beginning of the component. We have a few hooks like use state. And we have this use tracker. This is the hook that kind of makes part of the magic for React. And this is coming from a package called React Meteor Data. So basically, if you want to have these real-time functions in our app, we have to call the Meteor functions inside this use tracker hook. So let's see here. I have just a variable here representing empty state. So it is called no data available. So if I'm not logged in, I just return this empty state. So let's move forward. Then I have this is also from Meteor. Meteor subscribe tasks. And I have a handler that tells me when this subscription will be ready. So I'm also checking if it's not ready, I am returning the empty state again, and the is loading as true. So we can see that spinner over the screen. We will see what is this thing called tasks over here just in a minute, but let's keep going to see the code. Okay, so assuming that this handler is ready and we are right here, I am just fetching the data using the tasks collection. So the task collection, if you remember, it is just my MongoDB collection. And I am accessing it from the client side. I am calling the find method and passing a few parameter. So you can see that we have over the screen, I can show just the pending tasks, or I can show all the tasks. So I have these options, and I am passing this here. So I have this hide done that has state, it is true or false. Let me go back. I have a filter to fetch only the pending tasks, and another filter that will fetch, it will filter just by the user. So I am passing these arguments here. I am sorting by created at, and then calling fetch. And all of this is basically MongoDB. Meteor make it easy to use it, and even on the client side. After this, we have the tasks data. We have the pending counter over here. So if you see, we have tasks collection.find. I'm also passing argument here and calling the count method. And to get all the tasks, find, and I'm passing an empty argument and calling count method. So after this, if you go back, all of this is inside the use tracker. And in the end, I have task data, pending, and the all count. I am returning all these values to those variables. And this is the variable that we're using down below to map to the task component. So if you really see what is Meteor here, it is the subscription that we are doing and fetching the data. But this is something that we also have to take a look. So when you are creating a simple REST application, if you just fetch the data, it won't be real time, because once that code run, then it fetches the data and it shows, and that's it. But with Meteor, we have something called publications, and this is why we have this subscribe method, because to be real time, we have to subscribe to a publication. And we can see that if you try to find for tasks, we will find over this file called tasks publications that I am publishing something with the name tasks. And basically, I am fetching the database, fetching the tasks collection, and filtering by the logged user. So this will create a publication. Remember that if we have a look, the tasks methods and the tasks publication, they are in the imports folder. So we need to import them. And if you check in the main.js, that is the main file that will start when Meteor runs, I am importing those methods here, those files, tasks methods and tasks publications. And that's it. So you create a publication, you assign to it, you subscribe to it on the client side, like we are doing here. And that's it. This is the magic of Meteor doing real-time apps. And our time is becoming to an end. Let me go back to the presentation and let me see first if we have something on the chat. Okay, nothing new here. So let me go back to the presentation. You can, well, I should have finished this before to allow you to make questions, but let me go back to the presentation, play from first slide. So if you want to start with Meteor, install it, you can use the tutorials, you can see the examples. We have many other examples, Meteor guide, and don't forget about this, wait for Meteor University. The last topic is the Meteor Community. So Meteor Community is really strong and very active. So if you wanna participate more, you can join the Meteor forums. I have the URLs, I have the links over this presentation. I can share with you. So we have Meteor Slack, we have the podcast, which, oh, I didn't mention that before. So if you remember, I mentioned that 6 years ago, when I first met Meteor, the guy that presented me Meteor was Felipe Nebula. He was my manager back in that time. And today, Felipe is the CEO of Meteor. So I think that's not a coincidence. Meteor Impact, I am sure that you could not watch all the presentations, so they will be here. You can watch them later. You can watch the presentations from the last year as well. We have a page for showcases where you can see the clients. You have Meteor blog, and if you are trying to find a job using Meteor, you can check Meteor jobs. And that's it. I am sorry because we are almost over the time. If you want to talk to me, if you want to ask anything, I will be around on the Meteor Impact, and you can follow me on Twitter, Frederico Maia Arantes, and that's it. I don't know if you have a bit time for questions. I will check the chat. And I have a blank page. I don't know why. Let me refresh here. Oh yeah, Twitter is asking me if I have Meteor DevTools Evolve installed. I have it. Do you want me to show something? So Meteor DevTools, it is a Chrome plugin that is really cool. It was developed by Leonardo, another Brazilian guy. It is here. So the time was short, but basically when we publicate something like I showed you, we are publishing to Minimongo. That is a client cache, we could say that. And everything that you publish, it will go to Minimongo on the client side. So we can see here that the tasks are over here on the Minimongo. We have the subscriptions. You can see like which are the active subscriptions. You can see that I subscribe to tasks, but I don't know if this is what Twitter wanted me to show. I don't know if you wanna. Okay. Yeah, so Meteor DevTools it's really cool. You should install it. You could understand better like what is going on behind the scenes. And we have this topic that we will present on the Meteor University. So thanks everyone. I think I have to end this presentation. Let me check this chat over again. Yep, that's it. So thanks and see you in the next one.